David Pocock. Senator Pocock.
Thank you, Chair. I move Amendment 1 on sheet 1926.
Do you wish to speak to it?
Yes, please. I thank the government for bringing the TLAB 4 before the Senate. I would like to talk about the amount of time that small businesses will have to make use of the skills and training boost and the technology investment boost. These are great measures for small businesses to help them digitise, to drive genuine productivity amongst small businesses, but they've got 2 weeks. 2 weeks to make use of this, and we're told that it will be backdated to March and small businesses can keep their receipts and claim it. Every small business we've talked to in my office has had no idea about this scheme. So it seems like it's not going to have much effect, and there's going to be potentially the only people to benefit from this is the government's bottom line, given that there was money budgeted for it. This amendment seeks to ensure that businesses do have a year, small businesses do have a year to be able to digitise and claim some of that back on tax. This is incredibly important for our small businesses at the moment, who are seeking to become more efficient, to increase productivity, and indeed we hear a lot about productivity from both sides of politics. I thank the former government for their work on this, targeting small businesses, ensuring that they are being supported in digitising, in getting their systems up to speed. And we know that a lot of small businesses are still doing it tough coming out of COVID. They're under pressure. And so this amendment seeks to ensure that they do have 12 months to be able to use this measure. Minister, I understand that the original cost of this measure was $1 billion. However, I had the measure recosted by the Parliamentary Budget Office, and the revised costing came in at $600 million. I'm wondering whether the government has recosted this measure over the course of the financial year.
Are there any other contributions? Minister.
I think that was a question to me. So my understanding is it hasn't been recosted, but I am advised that the extension that's being sought by your amendment, I think your question is about whether the existing measure has been recosted, and I think the answer to that is no, but I'm advised that the cost of the extension for the additional year would have a cost impact of $650 million. So I think that aligns a bit with what the costing you might have from the PBO.
Senator Pocock.
Sorry, Chair.
I'm giving you the call.
Thank you. Given this was a budget measure, will the government support this extension to ensure that small businesses can digitise?
Minister.
Thank you. Well, I don't know. I can put on the record in advance of Senator Pocock moving the amendment. Did you move the amendment? Oh, right. Okay. So just in answer to your question, the government will not be supporting it. And I think it is important to acknowledge that the technology investment boost, as it stands, is backdated to the 29th of March 2022, which does mean that any eligible expenditure from that date will count when tax returns are lodged from July 1. And there are a range of other small business measures acknowledging the importance of small business across our economy, which have been introduced in the latest budget, including a small business energy incentive, cash flow through the $20,000 instant asset write-off, the Cyber Wardens program, and an industry growth plan that will help small businesses to innovate, adopt and adapt to digital technology specifically, and that's in the order of $393.4 million, in addition to this measure.
Senator Pocock.
Thank you, Minister. Given I haven't been able to find a small business in Canberra that's been aware of this, I was wondering if the government created a strategy to actually inform small businesses, given most small business owners are flat out at the best of times, whether there was a strategy developed and which stakeholders were engaged in that strategy and actually informing small businesses that there was this incentive to drive productivity.
Minister.
Thank you. My understanding is that advice about this program has been on the ATO website all year in anticipation of this measure being passed, which is the normal way that these types of incentives would be advertised.
Senator Pocock.
Minister, for small businesses out there, to give them 2 weeks of this sort of being valid, being passed by Parliament, and then just saying, well, it's backdated to March, so if you did happen to spend something, you can claim it back. How is that driving productivity? You're just simply rewarding people who've done something rather than actually incentivising small businesses to digitise and to spend money on things like cybersecurity.
Minister.
Well, I have to say, I've gone through the additional measures that we put in place, and I would say this was a measure that was that we picked up from the former government in their March budget, I think, of last year. And at the time that this was reintroduced post the commencement of this parliament, we didn't have the support to get TLAB 4 through. So, for a variety of reasons, not related to this measure specifically, but for other reasons. And so, yes, ideally this bill would have passed the parliament earlier than now. But the reality is most businesses, when they're doing their tax, and most businesses I deal with, are used to dealing with essentially claiming for things, for expenditure that has occurred over the previous financial year. I don't think that is unusual, but I am not stepping away from the fact that ideally this measure would have passed through the TLAB earlier if we'd had the support.
Senator Pocock.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Minister. Given the government doesn't want to extend this, will the government commit to reinvesting any savings in measures that will drive productivity amongst small businesses in Australia?
Minister.
Well, I would say we look at that in every update, whether it be my EFO or the budget. We are always looking at what happens in specific programs and how we can support small business. That's the work that Minister Collins does. She will continue to do that and to consult with small business, which is why we have the instant asset write-off, the industry growth plan about digital technology, the cyber wardens program, again at the request of COSBOA, and the small business energy incentives. These have all been measures that have been sought for and argued for by small business.
Senator Pocock.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, Minister. Just to follow up on that question, there's a $400 million saving here that the government will probably pick up due to the way this has come through Parliament. Can the government commit to actually investing that in small businesses, in ensuring that we are driving productivity? We've seen the Reserve Bank Governor raise concerns about productivity. It seems like this is money that's already been committed in the budget that could go towards that.
Minister.
Thank you. Well, I'm not sure where your $400 million savings comes from. I mean, we won't know the impact of this measure until all those tax returns are put through, because it's essentially revenue foregone. It's not a funded budget measure in that sense of appropriating cash for it. And so I don't know. You've got a costing from the PBO. I haven't seen it, but I don't think there's any understanding or expectation that there is a $400 million underspend. We won't know that for some time. And I would say and remind senators that those other measures that we have put in place are designed for small business and are implemented through this budget as well. In addition to this, this is over and above.
Senator Pocock.
Last one, then I'll finish off. Thank you, Minister. Just to clarify, my understanding is that the original cost of this measure was $1 billion. We've had it, given the shorter time frame, costed by the PBO at $600 million. You've said $650, so it seems like there will be, $350 to $400 million left there that could go to small businesses. I'd argue that it should go there, given the importance of small businesses to our economy.
Just before I give the call to the Minister, just letting everyone know that it's past 6:30 now, so there won't be any divisions. Minister?
I think I note that. It was a comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might take the call very quickly.
Senator McGrath, if everyone could just leave